Hello everyone. I'm Mrs. Rekha Hassan, Assistant Professor of English, Government First Grade College, Kavur, Mangalore. The novel Nampally Road by Meena Alexander is prescribed for BBA Sem 4 of Mangalore University with the text titled Compulsory Foundation Course in English. Now we are in session 31, chapter 10, Cardboard City. Before continuing the chapter 10, we shall have a quick recap of chapter 9, the history lesson, where we see Ramu and Meera attending the meeting, crowded with the revolutionaries, where we see one by one coming to the stage to speak about the violence, the atrocities committed every day. People in the gathering, they were holding red flags, which was a symbol of protest. A person speaks on how Chief Minister has planned for his birthday by erecting the Cardboard City, which is the replica of ancient inner city, his birthplace, in order to show the people how was his journey from past to the present. A child was chosen who plays the role of Lemka Gowda when he was a small boy. And that boy was chosen from the working class. Next comes a speaker who spoke about the violence committed every day. 5 peasants slaughtered for not paying taxes. 2 sisters raped and were buried half alive. Nurses, with a fear of molestation, they took up their duties in the far-flung villages. And next came a woman, Maitreyi, who spoke in a very simple language that how Ramisa was being dragged up the steps and was gang raped brutally. After she was being thrown to the cell, Ramisa and her body was numb. She found no sensing in her body. And the eyewitness of this was Maitreyi. Listening to this, the people shouted to take revenge, but a man says that it's the time not for the revenge, but the time for action. The next speaker was a woman named Rosamma, who spoke of the knives and bombs that should be used in order to have justice. When the meeting was about to end, a woman taps the shoulder of Meera, and she was Rosamma. Rosamma, finding fear in Meera's eyes, she tells Meera that she knows about her family. Her grandmother was a great woman. After leaving the meeting, Ramu and Meera go to the Mohan bar, where they have drink of beer. As Ramu and Meera involved in talking about their family, Ramu stops Meera saying that someone was listening to them and both become silent. Ramu expresses his desire of living together. They find children playing around the Gandhi statue. Beyond the Divine Life Temple and College, they could see the bits and pieces of cardboard city erected for the chief minister's birthday. And everything was getting ready for the occasion. Meera finds a truck full of women construction workers who are being brought to the public gardens to complete the entire cardboard city by daybreak. Among them, there was a thin woman in red sari who was Rosamma's sister. Ramu felt very sad about the woman workers and their plight. Their dressing was in rags. Getting disappointed, he orders for more and more cups of Golconda beer. Meera finds Ramu enjoying himself talking about one or the other things, neighboring men laughing at him. When Ramu switched on to the topic on Limca Gowda and started mocking at him, making a joke of him, Meera stops him and by paying the bartender, they leave the place. Meera decides to stay that night with Ramu in his hotel room, and she sends a message saying that she would be in her cousin's house in Gauligуда. The arrangement looked like a paradise, but Meera couldn't feel the pleasure of it. The room of Ramu was very small. Meera felt like living with him, felt like having a family with him. And later they took up the topic of the river of 14th and 15th century, where the lovers used to sit on the river banks. But later, whole cities perished. Later, there was the rule of the kings, then the Britishers came, and there was a movement, freedom movement, where people had rocks, guns, grenades with them and fought against the British. When they were involved in discussing about the river, they heard a knocking at the door where a little boy had come with the plates of food. They were staying in a Brindavan hotel, and Ramu spends time with Meera, and the next day Meera and Ramu reach the stone staircase of Hotel Brindavan, where they see the Nampally road was already filled with people before dawn. With this, the chapter 9 comes to an end, and now we are in chapter 10, the very last chapter of the novel Nampally Road. Chapter 10, The Cardboard City. Session 31, where the chapter 10 opens with the sunlit streets of Hyderabad and Meera finding her way to her house. Entering the house, she found none in sight. Looking through the window, she saw a torn kite hung from a stone in an abandoned graveyard. Then she glanced at the few lines she had written before the police station had burned. It was a series of factual descriptions of the courtyard outside, but found nothing special and seemed everything unreal. So she decided to burn the papers someday. Then she changed her sari over the old chappals, which was a soft underfoot. Out on the street was everything unnatural. Shops were all shut as it was a state holiday. Her eyes wandered over to the posters and kicked one of the posters which contained the big letters of Isaac Khatha. She felt her chappals needed a repair and had to find a cobbler. Approaching the crossroads by the Gandhi statue, she saw the beggars' wooden begging bowls and tin pots dropped on the roads. When she was in Hotel Brindavan with Ramu, the beggars who lived outside the small Shiva temple were rounded by the special police and were dragged in black vans driven to the outskirts of the city, then forced out into the ruins of the old fort. Even the beggars were not allowed to stay there because someone calculated that it would take them a day or half to walk back. By then, the celebrations would be over. Forcibly, they were taken to the old fort, thinking that it takes more time for them to get back to their place. By then, the celebration would have been over. Ever ready men did this to keep Hyderabad beautiful till the great celebrations of Chief Minister Limca Gowda's birthday would be over. The Divine Life Temple was empty, and Meera saw a few of her devotees crouching by the gates. On looking Jehovah's Witness, she recollected the incident a few days earlier, who were proclaiming the end of the world, waving copies of their yellow pamphlets. They were found with Limca's favor, felt compelled to support the Krishna devotees, who took to the streets, clapping their hands and using drums, saying, "O Rinda is here, rejoice all." Meera was relieved to see the cobbler and moved over to the pavement to reach her. Meera could see behind her first of the lorries packed with cheering villagers bound for the public gardens. Hundreds and hundreds of villagers were brought in lorries to cheer up in favor of Limca Gowda as their great leader. They could see the stadium and the cardboard city surrounded by an ocean of people encircling the glittering pageant, waiting for the party to begin. As the woman cobbler was old, she was scrutinizing her chapel, and the lady seemed to have been suffering from leukoderma. With this, the session 31 comes to an end. If you would like to have further reading, you can go to the text Compulsory Foundation Course in English for the BBA degree program, SEM 4.